Good morning. Welcome into a Wednesday edition of Wolo and Friends. Bryant and Elisha still in for Dave as he is on vacation. We'll be here the rest of the week and next week. A lot to get to today. Western Conference final game 1 last night. We've got conference baseball action all over the place that we will talk about as well. We're going to make golf picks a little bit later. The crew will be here for that. Johnny Lyons, Greg Hines, and Mickey Barker. They will be here to make golf picks at the end of this hour. So a lot to get into over this next hour. But Elisha, I was driving in and I was listening to Greg and Eli, and the conversation was around, obviously, the news yesterday that NFL players will be allowed to participate in the 2028 Olympics, 2025, good Lord. And I think people are excited about it. I think people are maybe not super excited about it, but like, hey, let's see what it looks like with these guys. And certainly having NFL guys will make it a lot of fun. But Greg was asking the kind of question of, well, let's not, I don't think he necessarily said, let's not shoe them in as the winner already. But he's kind of like, I'm curious what other countries can show. And it reminded me of a notification I got last night on my phone. I don't know if you get these notifications, but with Apple News or whatever they call it, I get notifications for like stories, and some of them you have to subscribe to read them, some of them you don't. I don't usually ever click on them, but this one was from Sports Illustrated, and it was titled, "Which non-U.S. countries could challenge NFL stars in Olympic flag football?" Got my attention. Now let me tell you something. This is going to be the most riveting sports radio you'll hear today. Me break down these countries that could compete with the United States in flag football.
Let's hear the analysis, man.
All right. So I'll just go through their list, and then I have an addition or two to add to this list. Starting off with Australia, the Down Under.
I kind of figured they'd make this list.
And it was interesting. So I don't know who wrote the story, but they put a little paragraph under each country and kind of why they would be in the mix. And for Australia, kind of some good reasoning there. Obviously, Australia known for kickers and punters when it comes to football, but the story points out that you've got Australian football in Australia, which is closer to rugby than it is American football. You have rugby in Australia. You have soccer. You've got a lot of sports where it's a lot of running. You've got athletic guys. And with rugby and Australian football, guys catching balls. So, you've got that hands aspect to it. So maybe Australia is a team that can compete with the United States. Canada, another country that I think should get a lot of talk. Obviously, they have a whole Canadian Football League that is getting ready to start up here in a couple of weeks. So obviously, they play the sport of football, and you would think that they could win some games. Mexico. This kind of goes back into that we've seen a couple of NFL players come from Mexico, but kind of same thing with Australia's. There are other sports that can kind of help you out with flag football that they play down in Mexico. Nigeria is the wild card that they threw in here. Nigeria is football sport that is growing in Nigeria. You look around now around college football and even at the professional level, a couple of Nigerians that are now playing. So maybe they are a group that is able to make some noise at the Olympics. So my two additions. Well, the first is not really an addition of a country. The second one is a country. My first one is I watch a ton of baseball, and we'll talk a little bit baseball later in the show. I watch a ton of baseball, and they do the World Baseball Classic. I don't know the rules of the Olympics. Like, forgive me. I do not know what you actually have to be and not be to be able to participate for a country in the Olympics. But in the World Baseball Classic, if you or a parent has citizenship in that country or is from that country, you can. Was that a home run in Hoover? I'm seeing in the reflection. No, foul ball, just foul.
Yeah,
wow,
just went foul.
Wow, just foul. We'll talk SEC in a second because we'll actually talk real sports in a second. But I just got excited with Greg and Eli talking about this. But so I don't know the rules. Like in the World Baseball Classic, you'll see guys that were born in the United States of America, but like maybe their dad is from Italy or their mom is from, insert country here, and they'll go play for those countries and be a part of those teams. I don't know if you can do that in the Olympics. If you can, well then yeah, you're going to see some guys that are in the Olympics. What was it? Kyrie has kind of bounced around from Olympic teams.
Australia, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know the rules of that, of how to do it, but I would not be surprised if there are some NFL guys that do not make Team USA that are like, I want to play in the Olympics. My mom is from Canada, or my dad is from this country. Like, I'll go play for that country. Joel Embiid did it. Karl Anthony Towns, we have seen people do it. I guess Joel Embiid's not from America, but he played on Team USA, I guess is the point there. So I don't know. The second country I will throw in is Italy. How about this? Italy, home run for, who's that, Texas A&M? Texas A&M, home run. Wow, look at the Aggies. Italy, they play football in Italy. You said Japan plays football as well. Right. So football, a sport that's growing, I'll tell you, one of my favorite books I've ever read was a book about Italian football. It was a novel. It was about Italian-American football. It was a fantastic book. Playing for Pizza, great book. So I am excited. I will say that. I am excited for the Olympics to see flag football. I think it would just be another fun thing to watch. I mean, we watch curling in the Olympics, in the Winter Olympics. I can watch flag football. I'll be fine watching flag football. To some real sports, we've got the conference baseball action going on right now. Texas A&M all over Mississippi State right now, 6-0 in the top of the second inning. Every conference is pretty much going. A lot started yesterday, more starting today. All of them, some of the smaller conferences that haven't kicked off yet, they'll kick off tomorrow. But I have a buddy that is a massive baseball fan, but he does not watch much college baseball. He is a Major League Baseball guy. We'll watch Major League Baseball every single night that it's on, and we'll watch multiple teams, and we'll bet on half of the games that are playing tonight. But he does not watch college baseball, or as much college baseball. And so yesterday he was watching college baseball, and he was like, what is going on with this sport? Like, how in the world am I watching a game that is 6-0 in the top of the second inning? And it's like all of the games are the exact same. Like, all the games are 6-0 at this point. This morning, Cal was up 6-0 in like the top of the third inning against Wake Forest, So like, college baseball runs galore. And that is kind of the big difference between that and Major League Baseball. But it is fun, and obviously if you've been living under a rock, or you're not an SEC fan, or maybe you're just not paying attention, this was the game, Texas A&M and Mississippi State. It was the game that was supposed to be played last night, but because of potential severe weather, I did not pay attention to the weather last night, so I don't know if the potential severe weather actually turned into severe weather, but they decided to postpone that game last night. Now they're playing it this morning. Because of that, everything has been moved for the day. So obviously, Alabama and Tennessee were supposed to get us started this morning. That will now be moved to around noon, and then you'll get Georgia. I forget who Georgia's playing. They'll play around 4:30, and then Ole Miss will play Florida. That game will be at 8 o'clock tonight. You can listen to that game right here on Sports56. So everything shifting. The winner of this game last night was supposed to play later tonight against Auburn. That game has been moved to tomorrow morning, I believe, 11 a.m. or noon, something around there, 11 a.m. So that game will be played tomorrow morning. So everything getting moved around a little bit at Hoover, but it has been fun watching all the college baseball action. Everybody was watching the Western Conference Finals last night, though. Minnesota and OKC. Elisha, yesterday we kind of talked about how do these two teams come out? You've got one team in Minnesota that has been resting since middle of last week. The last time they played was a week ago from today, before last night, their final game against Golden State. How do they come out? Is it the rest versus rust? And then the bigger question, how does OKC come out after just playing a Game 7 on Sunday? And I think early on, you saw a team that was really rested and a team that was coming off of just one day off after playing a Game 7. OKC was just kind of out there, and Minnesota was taking it to them early and looked good early. All that changed at halftime. It really felt like OKC was building momentum. They were cutting into that lead. They were, I think, what was it, like a 4-point game at halftime?
Yeah, Minnesota was up 4.
Minnesota up 4 at halftime. You saw them, start saying, "Hey, let's flip that switch. Let's turn it on. We can't lose this game." And then in the second half, they really dominated Minnesota. Now go up 1-0. And I'm seeing a lot of people, and I think we talked about this yesterday. A lot of people that, I don't want to say underestimated OKC, but they wanted to see OKC prove it. This is a team that, sure, last year they were in the playoffs, but didn't make a ton of noise. Still a very young team, still not a lot of playoff experience. Can they go through this? Can they get through a Game 7 against a defending champ and turn around and be able to beat Minnesota? Can they go on the road and win in Denver? Can they come back from behind and win these games? And we're seeing them ace all of those tests, all those questions that people have. They've really done a nice job of kind of showing how dominant that, hey, what we did in the regular season isn't a fluke. We are one of the best teams in the NBA, if not the best team in the NBA. And so I think you saw that in the second half. What were some things that jumped out to you about that game last night?
Yeah, I think in the first quarter, both teams came in with a very clear game plan. For the Timberwolves, it was to get up some three-point shots early and often to try to, establish themselves on the perimeter, to maybe, break up the OKC gap defense that only prevented Anthony Edwards ultimately to only getting one shot in the paint all night, which was crazy. But outside of Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards hit some, the shots weren't falling from Minnesota last night, so OKC was content to live with a lot of open three-point shots from Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Dante DiVincenzo and Naz Reid. I won't say completely open, but they were content to live with Minnesota taking 53s last night, with OKC only taking 20. But it was OKC's it was their offense, their defense leading to offense in the second half. They scored 70 points in the second half, shot 62% from the floor, forced 17 turnovers on the game. And that third quarter run, those Golden State Warriors teams, the teams that won the championship, they used to be so good in the third quarter. OKC is kind of, picking up a narrative of that for themselves here in this playoffs, where they come out of halftime and they can really blitz you, at the turn of a hat. And it's Alex Caruso and, of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but Cason Wallace, great minutes once again. And Kendrick Williams is the 11th man on the team. He played 10 minutes last night, 3 for 3, 8 points, but was a plus 19 on the floor, playing great defense against Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards as well. So their depth, it just, everything that we've talked about for the past few weeks, it was on display last night. And the game went about how I expected it to going into it, but OKC, they showed their true colors last night.
Yeah, no, they absolutely did. A couple of things you mentioned that I want to talk about. I think the first thing is those runs that this OKC team can go on. I mean, we talked about it in, I don't remember if it was Game 7 or Game 6 in that Denver series, where OKC is really struggling and Denver is in control of that game. And you look in that second quarter with about 3 minutes left. OKC's been making ground. With about 3 minutes left, either OKC was down 1 or Denver was up 1. And there was about 3:10 maybe left on the clock in the second quarter. By halftime, OKC's up by 14. Just like that, in 3 minutes, they have completely suffocated Denver and have gone on this scoring run. You're seeing that really night in, night out from OKC, of they can, at any minute, completely take out your offense and just go on a massive run. In college basketball, they call 10-0 runs kill shots. And I mean, I wish that was a thing in the NBA, because I would love to see how many kill shots OKC has this year, because I'm sure it is.
I bet they lap teams in that category.
I saw a graph today, and it's very difficult to try to describe graphs on an audio medium, but basically it was how good are you at going on runs? That was one of the axes, and the other axis was how good are you at limiting opposing teams' runs? And it was like a lot of teams that were like kind of jumbled up together, and like they're all kind of around the same. And it was OKC way out here and way down at the bottom, of like they go on a ton of runs and they are not allowing other teams to go on runs. And that's just kind of been their bread and butter. We know how good defensively they are, how athletic they are, how long they are. Like, I think people underestimate how good. Like, the thing is like, when SGA came out of college, the biggest thing about him was not his scoring. It was his defense. And I feel like people underestimate not only his defense, but how long he is and, like, what he can do as a perimeter defender. And that's kind of this entire roster.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, too, because I've had some friends who have, made comments about this, and it's been, a pretty heated discourse over the past 24 hours. What do you think about the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander foul embellishment?
The foul merchant. Yes, I've heard a lot about this. I was going to you've kind of reversed the question on me, because I was going to ask this question to you, because I'm listening to a podcast this morning, and it was the Dan Le Batard show. I'll give him credit. And it was Amin Hassan, who used to work with ESPN and does a lot of their NBA stuff with the Dan Le Batard show now. And he asked the group what they thought about SGA. Because he was like, I'm seeing this Discord, and he was like, I don't know if it is just like an online thing or if this is like a real thing of SGA isn't really a good player. He just gets to the foul line a lot. And I feel like we have two I'll call them superstars because I think they're incredible players. One's going to be named the MVP later tonight. The other one, clutch player of the year. You've got SGA and Jalen Brunson, where I feel like people are taking away from their game by saying how much they get to the line, talking about that. I saw like a highlight. It was like NBA Finals highlight reel leaked, and it was just SGA and Jalen Brunson at the free throw line. I think there can be more of a conversation about Jalen Brunson and how he gets to the line. Because there's a lot of times you'll see Jalen Brunson where he's got a wide open lane to the basket and he like almost throws his body backwards to try to get contact and get to the free throw line. I think SGA is just really good at drawing fouls. We talked about it a lot with PJ Haggerty last year when he was at Memphis. And there were Memphis fans that would get very upset if you said he's a foul merchant, he's doing everything he can he's embellishing fouls. Like, he's just really good at drawing fouls. I think that's what SGA is. I think he's just really good at drawing fouls. And I think that, because I just said, Jalen Brunson has kind of been talked about this playoff series as, well, he's a good player, but look how much he's getting to the line, and look how he's getting to the line. I think you almost take away from how good, you discredit SGA a little bit by calling him a foul merchant, because that's a very small part of his game, of how good he is. Some of those shots he was hitting in the second half last night were incredible. And now today, all everyone's talking about is, oh my gosh, SGA just lived at the foul line last night. He's great on defense. He's a great shot maker. Yeah, he gets to the foul line a lot, but I just think that's credit to him as a player, how shifty he is, and how he can get to the rim and draw fouls. I think it's more of that. Sure, maybe there's some times where he gets a foul and he's able to sell a foul a little bit more. I think he's just really good at it.
Yeah, my stance is no other player in the NBA moves like he does. Mm-hmm. The herky-jerkiness. I call him the best snake dribbler I've ever seen, where he comes off a screen and he never goes in a straight line. He always zigzags his way to the spot he wants to get to on the floor. And sure, yeah, I agree. He embellishes the contact, but it's real contact. It's not phantom contact. It's not flopping necessarily, where a foul has not been committed. He feels the contact and he sells it. He sells it, pretty. And he's animated in selling it sometimes, but he is getting real contact, and I think it just takes away from this discourse. Mm-hmm. Every great scorer, especially from the guard position in NBA history, has been great at getting to the free throw line, except for Steph Curry, who revolutionized the game by shooting 30-foot three-point shots. So This is not anything new, I don't feel like. Mm-mm. This is not anything new. We saw it with James Harden. We saw it with, Trae Young when he was coming up, and Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan to, an extent. This is not anything new from what we've seen before. So, yeah, the level that the narrative has gotten to at this point kind of rubs me, the wrong way at times. Yeah. But if you can't see the greatness of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, then I don't know what to tell you.
He's an incredible player, and he's going to get the MVP award later tonight, which finally we're getting an MVP award. I want to get back to the MVP in a second because a lot of people talking about Mike Malone's comments last night on ESPN about SGA winning MVP. Before we do that, I do want to bring up two more things about the game last night, and it really has to do with the second half from OKC, because going into last night, we talked about this yesterday morning, and I talked about it a little bit more with Brett yesterday afternoon on Sports Time. For me, the two biggest things for both of these teams was Minnesota, a team that I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think finished somewhere like number 16 or 18 in the league in turnovers per game and number 20 in turnover percentage in the NBA. How are they at turning the ball over, forcing turnovers? Can they kind of do that to the Thunder? And then on the other side for the Thunder, OKC has really struggled this playoff portion of the season, knocking down threes. And Minnesota, we've seen that's kind of what's been able to get them this far is their three-point defense and limiting good opportunities to opposing teams. Last night in the first half, talking about turnovers first, in the first half last night, Minnesota finished the first half with 9 turnovers. I can live with that. That's completely fine. I will live with 9 turnovers in the first half because OKC turned the ball over 8 times in that game, or in the first half last night. So, maybe a little abnormal for OKC and how much they turned the ball over. Second half, though, Minnesota turned the ball over 8 times. Okay, so that's 17 for the game. Okay, it's not great, but it's not terrible. But OKC only turned the ball over 4 times in the second half.
Not to mention Minnesota's turnovers led to 31 points for OKC.
That's right. And that's just how good OKC is in transition, getting those turnovers, turning those turnovers into points. The second thing is the three-point shooting last night. In the second half, OKC 8 for 13 from 3. That's 61.5%. Now on the other side, Minnesota got to a point, like you were kind of mentioning, where they were just trying to settle for threes, and it did not work out for them. 21%, only 5 for 23 in that second half from 3. So OKC did a really nice job in that second half of really putting the pressure on Minnesota, making it tough for them, and that is what got them that 114-88 win last night. So last night, I'm at Huey's watching the game, and game ends, it's me, my brother, and a couple of our friends. And we're sitting there, and so I'm sitting on one side of the table. Connor, my brother, is directly across the table from me. And there's a TV above his head, okay? So there's the painting of the picture for you. So I'm watching, it's post-game Sports Center, and Mike Malone is on the television. I had not seen any of the notifications or any of the tweets or anything about Mike Malone doing ESPN analysis work for the Western Conference Finals. So I'm looking up at this guy, go, I haven't seen this guy on ESPN before. And so I make the joke out loud to everybody. What does this guy think he is, Mike Malone? Connor looks up at the television, looks back at me and goes, are you serious? Yeah, this guy looks exactly, him and Mike Malone could be brothers. Like, they were spitting images of each other. Twins, not even brothers. They could be twins. He just looks at me with this look of disgust. He goes, it's because that is Mike Malone. I go, what? He goes, that is Mike Malone. I go, what are you talking about?
As a coach, he's Michael Malone. That was Mike Malone.
That's right. Exactly. That's his alias. He's Mike Malone on television. I had no idea. And so I'm sitting there like, yeah, this guy looks a lot like Mike Malone. And sure enough, it was, in fact, former Denver head coach Michael Malone. He said last night after the game that something along the lines, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but something along the lines of SGA showed tonight why he's the MVP, which rubbed people the wrong way because one of the other finalists for the MVP award is his former All-Star, Nikola Jokic. How did you take Michael Malone's comments last night about the MVP race?
I don't think that there was anything that Michael Malone could have said where he would have won to people, because if he did say, you know what, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played, he played all right tonight, but Jokic still deserves the MVP.
He's a foul merchant. Look at Jokic out here. Jokic is fantastic.
Yeah, so I don't think there was really any winning, but it is interesting that his first television appearance, he comes on and makes a statement like that. I don't know if there's really anything to read into. I take it as just him giving a guy props because he deserves it. Mm-hmm. But it is interesting that Jokic is the guy that he's going up against, and he coached Jokic for 8 years. So you can read into it if you want. I choose not to.
I think you're exactly right. I think it's one of those things where, yeah, everyone's going to run with it because of the situation. He gets fired. Who knows what the relationship is between him and Nikola Jokic. So yeah, it's very easy to read into and go, oh man, look at Michael Malone throwing shots at Nikola Jokic. But what would the narrative have been on social media from everybody if Michael Malone on postgame last night goes, yeah, really excited to see who wins MVP because this guy was really good tonight. But let's not forget what Nikola Jokic did all season. Like let's not let this overlook how great Nikola Jokic was in the season. Everyone would have been sitting there like, Coach, they're sitting at home right now. We're talking about this game tonight. So I think you're right. I think it was just more of Michael Malone giving SGA his props and saying, look at how this guy stepped up and took over in that second half. SGA last night in the second half, 8 for 14 from the field, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 20 points in the second half. He was incredible. He was massive in that comeback for, if you want to call it a comeback, it was very early when Minnesota was leading. But being able to rally those guys and him as a leader, I think it was just him giving props to an unbelievable season and an unbelievable game for SGA, but I did think it was funny that everyone immediately pointed out, oh no, bad blood, oh no, look at Michael Malone throwing shots at Nikola Jokic. But we need to get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about tonight's game, 7 o'clock on TNT, the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks at MSG. As you can imagine, it's going to be a wild scene at MSG. So we'll break that down a little bit. We'll talk a little baseball as well. Again, about 10:40, 10:45, Johnny Lyons, Greg Hines, and Mickey Barker will join the show. We will talk a little golf with them, make our weekly golf picks to wrap up today's edition of Wolo and Friends. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk NBA. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Wolo and Friends.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Memphis Public Links has so much going on right now. Audubon is right around the fairway. Wait until you see when this thing is a finished product. Fox Meadows is in great shape. The links at Pine Hill is now a masterpiece of a place to play, as are really all the other Memphis public golf courses. Galloway is playing like a championship course. They just finished the 75th year of the OPO, and Overton Park is now talked about, and that layout all across the state. And by the way, folks, it's so easy to make a tee time. The hard part is getting your buddies to pick their time. You go online to memphispubliclinks.com, select your course, then grab your tee time. Simple, easy, and incredibly convenient. Also, on the website is a schedule of upcoming events. There you'll find something that will interest you. Again, if you want to book a tee time or find out more about tournaments or other events at any of the great Memphis public golf courses, go online to memphispubliclinks.com.
Briggs Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Briggs Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With two conveyor lines and the largest match ovens in the Mid-South, Briggs can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Briggs Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Briggs Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or BriggsPowderCoating.com.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home.
like home, Town Village.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
How about a 2025 Jetta S, $299 a month? Brand new Jetta S, $299 a month. What else you got, Marty? I've got a 2025 ID Ford S Limited, $399 a month. And feel the vintage vibes in a 2025 ID Buzz Pro S electric bus, $599 a month.
And Marty was telling me earlier, Volkswagen has the lower cost of maintenance across 24 and 25 lineups compared to 24 Toyota or Honda, so it's obviously the smarter choice. So get on over to Gossett Volkswagen Germantown, 7420 Winchester Road, or shop online, GossettVWG.com, and be sure to ask for Marty McMahon.
You got that right, Randy. So come see us at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown. And remember, your future is what you make it.
Game one tonight in the Eastern Conference Finals. We talked a lot about game one in the West. Fun game last night, I thought. I'm in a group chat right now, and none of these people are listening right now. They're all working. A lot of them don't even live here. And they're all, I probably have gotten 100 texts in the last 20 minutes, and they're all complaining about SGA and him drawing fouls. I will acknowledge that there were a couple times last night where he did, he sold it a lot to try to get to the foul line.
For sure.
I will admit that, but at the same time, I think foul merchant's a little much. I don't think when I view SGA, I don't view him as a foul merchant.
Well, whenever Doris Burke says it on a broadcast, I didn't know how I felt about that. I said, they're going to take this and they're going to run with it because Doris Burke said it.
Of course.
But I think she meant it, as a good-natured comment. I don't think it was anything,
I don't think
malicious against his basketball playing abilities.
I don't think so. But tonight, game one in the East, Pacers and the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden tonight. So obviously the Knicks have a little bit of an edge here with home court advantage. What do you think happens tonight in this matchup?
Yeah, I expect the Knicks to come out in game one with the energy, with the Garden rocking. I think the Pacers, I mentioned this yesterday, the Pacers have 6 of the top 10 players in the playoffs via true shooting percentage, which is crazy to think about. Can those guys continue to stay hot? I think on the road in the Garden, it's a tough thing to ask. That's a tough thing for those guys to consistently do. I think they struggle to shoot the ball a little bit tonight. I expect the Knicks to win this game. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be a close game up until the fourth quarter. I think the Knicks will pull away late, though, with Jalen Brunson. And I think Mikal Bridges will have a very nice defensive game as well.
Yeah, Mikal Bridges has been really good defensively all throughout the playoffs, really all season, but all throughout the playoffs. They are they're certainly getting their money's worth with him. That trade, I know a lot of people early in the season were clowning that trade and clowning the Knicks to go out there and do that. But I think it's worked out. Right now, Knicks a 4.5-point favorite tonight, total at 233.5. I'm not rooting for anybody in this series. Again, I am just wanting all-out chaos. I want this to be a 6 or 7 game series, and I want every single game to be like a 4-point game when there's 2 minutes left. And I just want these two guys, the 2 star players on those teams, to just go at each other every single possession for the last 2 minutes of every single game of this playoffs. If we get that, it's a dream. it would be amazing. I mean, it would be can't miss television, especially with Madison Square Garden, with New York rocking. We've already got like beef between these two teams, and like you had that one idiot, can I call him an idiot? I don't know. That one idiot that was walking around New York City in his Tyrese Halliburton jersey. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, come on now. Like, see that video?
He got rewarded for it.
Now, please. I mean, look, that's like what you have to do if you're Tyrese Halliburton. And I love Tyrese Halliburton, great player. Like, seems like a good guy.
You remember the Suns and 4 guy from a few years ago? That's what it reminds me of.
Kind of. But, like, look, I'm not saying that I agree at all with what the New York Knicks fans did to him. Throwing trash or whatever. It was like complete trash bags at him. Like, it was crazy. But guy was looking for trouble. That's all I'm going to say.
You got to know.
Guy was looking for trouble. I mean, nobody just walks around the area that all of the New York Knicks fans are going to be at wearing the team that they're about to play in the next round's jersey.
Smell like rage bait to me.
I mean, look, I know an instigator when I see one, and that just seems like a little instigating. But, hopefully we get that type of back and forth on the court, and maybe this is a little bit of a we've seen the Pacers get into it with who was it, the Bucks earlier in the playoffs. So and the Knicks, obviously with the fans they have at Madison Square Garden, I think it's very easy to get chippy with. So I mean, I'm hoping this is a fun series, and I think you look at this game, and obviously I think intriguing pieces on both sides. For the Knicks, it's more of kind of the star power that they have with, you mentioned, Brunson and Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns and these guys that have played really well for them. And we know Thibodeau is not going to go deep on a bench. Like, he's playing 7-8 guys. That's it. On the other side, for the Pacers, it's been more depth. It's been going 8, 9, maybe even 10 guys deep and getting production out of those guys. And so I think that'll be an interesting aspect of this playoff series. But this one really is the star versus star because of what these two guys have done in both of these, or in all the series that they've played so far, with how they've stepped up and how they've taken over the games late and how they've hit clutch shots. That's going to be the storyline going into tonight's game and going into this entire series. So I'm excited about it. You think the Knicks are going to win this series and advance to the NBA Finals? Or you just like them tonight? You think the Knicks will advance to the finals, or do you just like them tonight?
I think they'll advance to the finals. I think they'll advance to the finals. I think it'll take 6 games. I do think that the Pacers have the formula to beat the Knicks, though. I said the same thing about the Cavs. They match up really well positionally, but it's just going to take guys continuing to make shots. Guys are going to have to continue to make shots at the same level they have been. And the Knicks really shut that down last series against Boston. I kind of expect them to do the same in this series. I think the X factor in this series for each team, the X factor for the Pacers is going to be Pascal Siakam, and the X factor for the Knicks is going to be Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right with that. And look, I mean, the Indiana's made it look almost easy, and now there are reasons behind that you can certainly point to. Milwaukee, to be honest, they've had Milwaukee's number the last couple of years now, and you had an injury there with Damian Lillard. Second round against Cleveland, obviously, again, you had injuries there with Cleveland. Several guys out, and then Donovan Mitchell played, but we know he was dealing with some injuries. And then on the other side for the Knicks, they've kind of shown that they can fight through some adversity. You go back and think of all those games against Boston that they were trailing and had to come back, those 20-point games where they come back and get wins. It was impressive, and I think makes you feel pretty good about, this isn't going to be a team that if they get down, if Indiana goes on a run, if they're up double digits, this isn't a team that's going to freak out and kind of lose their cool. They're going to remain calm. Now, again, just like I was saying, there were injuries on, for the Pacers. Celtics didn't do themselves any favor with, just jacking up threes pretty much all game when they were up 20. That's the point where you just got to go and start laying, trying to get layups, trying to work that clock, doing stuff instead of just trying to jack up threes. I think right now, though, I think the lean is probably has to be the Knicks in this series. But I think you're right. I think Indiana is a good matchup for anybody because they're so deep. They've got so many pieces. The way that they've put this roster together has been really impressive. So now I'm really excited for the series.
Yeah, do you think the Knicks right now are the best just clutch team in general? Do you trust them more than any other team remaining in the playoffs? In the clutch, I mean.
Maybe in the clutch, sure. With Brunson and what he's done. I mean, it hasn't just been Brunson. Like, you've seen the defensive stuff. You mentioned it earlier with Mikal Bridges and what he's done in those clutch situations of getting stops. I don't know if I trust Mikal Bridges of knocking down like a gotta have game winner three. But you got Brunson, you've got Karl Anthony Towns who is a star. You've got some other players that I think you can rely on in the clutch as well. OKC is just one of those teams where they're gonna bull rush you like every game, and so I don't know how that really affects the clutch. They haven't been in very many clutch situations where they need someone to step up and hit that game winner or make a play down the stretch. So I think they would kind of be behind. Indiana's got to be close with Tyrese Halliburton and what he does. I mean, that's why I'm so excited about this series because it is, I mean, I've been calling it the clutch off. I mean, it is the two most clutch players. I said it earlier. Why in the world do we have a clutch player of the year award? I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, it's not, who cares? Nobody's watching all of these games and going, man, you know what? Jalen Brunson needs to be awarded for how clutch he is in, regular season games. Did you see what he did in that game, in March 10th? Did you see that big time play he made?
That one game won the award for him.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about that. You know what would be cool, though? Is if you had like one of the awards of the playoffs was like clutch player of the postseason, and now we've got this series where we've got Tyrese Halliburton, who's had multiple game-winning shots. We've got Jalen Brunson, who has multiple game-winning shots. Now they're in a series against each other. Like, let's have a clutch off and see who's the most clutch player in the postseason. Because that's when being clutch matters. Being clutch doesn't matter in November when nobody's watching. Clutch matters in the playoffs when everybody's watching.
In kind of that same vein, do you like or dislike that they do the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals MVPs now?
I think it's just one of those things where, I don't care. Like, it's fine. Whatever. I'm never going to be the kind of, we don't need that award. Even though I just said we don't need Clutch Player of the Year award. Awards are cool, whatever. Who cares? If that's what gets you excited as a player, if you're going to be like, man, let me shine this Western, MVP, Western Conference MVP, then sure, I really don't care. But it should be a lot of fun tonight, and we'll definitely talk a lot about it tomorrow. But we got to get to a break, and when we come back, we got to switch gears completely. We're going to talk golf. Obviously, the PGA Championship last weekend. We'll talk about that with the guys, and then we will get to our picks for this weekend. Elisha is going to help us out with facilitating these picks as I am pinch hitting for Dave on the picks today. But let's get to a break. When we come back, Johnny Lyons, Greg Hines, and Mickey Barker, they join us, talk golf, and make picks. That's next on Wolo and Friends.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of Cashew Crunch, of Heavenly Hash, of Turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
Extraordinary events come once in a blue moon. And right now, even the most extravagant luxuries are well within reach. The one and only May sale is back at Sissy's Log Cabin. And you can save up to 50% on nearly everything in the store. This is your chance to get the service, selection, and experience that makes you feel like family. But hurry, the best pricing of the year ends May 31st. Don't miss the one and only May sale at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery instead of dependable service and no long-term contracts. An easy choice. Call Jeff Menas today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
K4 SEO 39894, MSRP 25840, K5 S5312 782, MSRP 29330, Telluride SG 597 965, MSRP 43410, includes all rebates and incentives. PF 895 must finance through KFA, excludes tax on license with approved credit dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 6/2/25. Hey Jeff Allen, what's the scoop over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
Randy, the scoop is you get a 2025 Kia K4 LXS for less than a latte a day at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah. Less than $6 a day at $169 a month. Plus a 2025 Kia K5 GT line, $185 a month. Got a big family? 2025 Telluride EX front wheel drive 6 to 8 and has more power and larger cargo area than a Nissan Pathfinder. That's 2025 Telluride EX, $378 a month. All $49.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
Plus, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Welcome to Fat Larry's in Bartlett. Come in today for award-winning barbecue and so much more. Catfish, steak burgers, chicken, certified prime Angus beef steaks, along with all the sides, homemade rolls, delicious desserts, beer, and service that is out of this world. Fat Larry's cooks everything made to order just for you. Dine in or order online at fatlarrys.com. We're the best barbecue, Southern cooking, and friendly atmosphere in town. Family owned and proud of it. Fat Larry's, conveniently located at 7537 Highway 70, just west of Appling.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here's the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloship.
Welcome back into Wolo and Friends. Bryant and Elisha with you as Dave is out this week on vacation, but we got to talk golf. Got to make some picks for this weekend's event as well. And joining us, as always, Johnny Lyons, Greg Hines, and Mickey Barker. Fellas, thanks so much for joining us. Let's start with Johnny, and I want to start with this game, or with Scotty Scheffler and the weekend he had. Kind of started off weird. We were looking up at the leaderboard and on Thursday and Friday, and it was kind of not the superstars we expected for a major. But obviously, Scotty in a good position pretty much all week, had the big day on Saturday, and then just was able to do enough on Sunday. Johnny, what did you make of Scotty Scheffler and the weekend he had?
Well, first of all, I have to say, poor Wolo, he picked first and picked wrong. He just can't get it right. He picked Rory, poor Rory, he just gets it wrong every time. But Scotty is the man. There's no doubt about it. He started a legacy. He's on a roll, and he played beautifully, just well enough to win it there. He kind of coasted in, and very impressive win.
Mm-hmm. No, it absolutely was an impressive win for sure. Mickey, I want to go to you now and kind of talk about, Johnny was talking about how Dave picked Rory McIlroy. Rory was a guy that a lot of people thought, after winning the Masters earlier this year would have a lot of success and, be feeling good going into major number 2. Obviously, some issues with the driver and kind of on and off the course. What did you make of the weekend for Rory McIlroy and kind of his collapse?
Well, I think it was just it's tough to win 2 majors in a row. That's why you don't see it happen very often. I mean, there's such a high coming off of the Masters, and then it's really hard to get back into the grind. You know, Tiger Woods probably did it as well as anybody ever, but Rory just had he had a flat weekend with the driver. You know, the fact that it became non-conforming, I think that's really a non-issue that happens all the time with tour players. But you know, it's just he wasn't driving it well last week, the week before at the Truist, and then it just continued this week. And with that rough being as wet as it was and deep, this wasn't going to happen from out of the rough.
Yeah, no, it was definitely an issue all weekend long. Greg, I got to ask you about these playing conditions over the weekend, especially early, because you had the mud balls that everyone was complaining about. You had, that big three, the big three group with number 1, number 2, and number 3. None of those guys got off to a good start. How big of an issue was that over the weekend with a lot of those guys, and became a big talking point on the coverage all weekend of the mud balls and weather being a factor?
Yeah, certainly I think it's an issue anytime you play golf and you have to deal with that. But these guys play enough that they should know how to deal with it, right? And they practice in all conditions. They hit all kinds of shots. So, I mean, the cream is always going to rise to the top in the toughest conditions. I think the guys who are mentally tough get through it and find a way to overcome it. I mean, you look at Scheffler, and, I mean, he just finds a way, even after complaining on Thursday, to dial it in and be focused the rest of the week. You know, you go back and look at his incident last year at the PGA where he was arrested. And he just dials it in incredibly and pushes all that other outside stuff, conditions, issues going on outside the course away, as well as anybody I've seen on the tour in a long time. And, I mean, I got 2 quick notes on Scheffler. One, he won by 5 strokes. Joined Tiger Woods as the only player to win consecutive starts by 5 strokes or more. And
Wow.
He is the 3rd player since World War II to capture 3 major championships and 15 tour wins before the age of 29. The other 2 are Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods. So says a lot about who he is.
Yeah, it's incredible. That really is a good nugget there. And I mean, he's shown he is an incredible golfer for sure. All right, Elisha, I'm going to turn it over to you now so that you can facilitate these golf picks. Hopefully I can do better than what Dave has been doing. I hear he has not had a lot of success with golf picks.
Yeah, that's right. So for this week's order, since Dave mistakenly picked Rory first last week, Bryant will be picking first in Dave's place, followed by Greg, then Mickey, then Johnny, who of course had Scotty Scheffler, the winner last week. He'll round out the bunch. So we'll start with you,
man.
Bryant.
Oh, I didn't know I was getting the first pick. I feel like there's a lot of pressure with this because you've got Scotty right there. And I feel like that's the guy you got to take every single week if you have the first pick. But at the same time, I don't know if I want to take a major winner the week after winning a major. So I will go a little off the beaten path maybe. I'm going to pass on Scotty, and I will take... let's go with Hideki. I'll take Hideki Matsuyama.
All right. Greg is next.
I love you. Thank you for keeping Wolo in the cellar for another week. We appreciate that. And, you know, one of the things I said last week is sometimes it's awesome not being the first pick because, you know, you're kind of thinking, who do I want to go, who do I not want to go, and the first guy's going to put you there. Well, you didn't take my guy. I'm taking Scotty. Can't.
Yeah, it's really a lot of pressure having to pick first overall. I got to say that.
All right, Mickey's next.
Mickey, you there?
Oh, I'm here. Sorry.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not hearing Elijah. So.
Oh, interesting.
You may have to translate for me, but yeah, I'm very happy that. Actually, am I the 4th pick? Yeah.
Are you? I think you're 3rd. I think this is your pick right here.
Oh, this is my pick. I'm 3rd. Okay, so I'm going to take Daniel Berger.
Okay, Daniel Berger, and then Johnny, your pick now.
Okay, I'm going to go with the defending champion, Davis Riley. Hot.
All right, Davis Riley. So
Back up top to Brian.
Back up to me. Okay, I'll go. I'll go Brian Harmon here.
All right, Greg's up.
All right.
I hate to feel like I'm picking the obvious choices, but I mean, he's the all-time earning winner there, Jordan Spieth.
That's a good one. Mickey, your pick now?
I'm going to go with another Dallas guy. He's been playing really well, Siwoo Kim.
I like that. And then Johnny?
Let's see. We're going to try Ryan Gerard. Playing really well.
All right, last pick for each of you.
Last pick. I will go. Let's give Tom Kim a try this week.
All right, Greg, last pick.
All right, I am going to go with Maverick McNeely.
I like that pick. A lot. Mickey, your pick?
So the two guys that finished second, Poston and English both finished second last week. So I think I'll go with JT Poston.
Okay. All right. And Johnny, your final pick?
We're going to try the young guy, Andrew Novak, playing well.
Andrew Novak. Awesome. All right. Well, those are our picks for this weekend at the Charles Schwab Challenge. Should be another fun weekend of golf. Fellas, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Enjoy y'all's weekends, and we'll talk to y'all again on Wednesday, all right?
Yeah, next week we've got to talk about that non-conforming driver a lot of people are asking about.
Yeah, we absolutely will get to that. Thanks, fellas.
Good job, Brian.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Mickey Barker, Johnny Lyons, and Greg Hines joining us. Thank you again to those three guys for joining us and getting some picks for this weekend. Again, the Charles Schwab Challenge will get kicked off tomorrow. But that is all the time we have today. If you're not watching, Texas A&M all over Mississippi State in the first game at Hoover right now. Fourth inning, 8-0. Texas A&M is up. But that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back here tomorrow in place for Dave as well. But don't go anywhere because Johnny Radio, he's up next.
Hi, I'm Billy Lavin, defender for University of Memphis Soccer. Refinance your auto loan with Southern Security and have no payment for 60 days. Southern Security will finance up to 115% of the current value of your vehicle for up to 72 months. To find out how to put more cash in your pocket, call our member service team at 901-452-7900 or apply on our website at southernsecurity.org. Southern Security is a proud supporter of the University of Memphis Athletics and 901 Women. Federally insured by NCUA.
Pools, and more pools. Yes, it is pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure is already booking pool installs, so you need to buy now and get on that list. 24-foot pools start at $19.99 install. Liners are starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under